here, I want to thank the sponsors of the podcast. I want to thank GoHunt.com. My friend Cody Nelson, the Optics Authority, the Glassing Guru. If you guys have any binoculars, spotting scopes, rifle scopes, tripods, anything to do with glassing, give Cody a call, 702-847-8747. That's extension 2. You can also text or call him on his cell phone. He loves getting texts, 602-399-3699. Also, guys, it's application season. The Go Hunt Insider is the best tool to be able to research draw odds. Go to gohunt.com/JScott. You can sign up for the Go Hunt Insider. I also want to thank Kuiu.com. Kuiu Ultralight Hunting. That's the gear that I wear on all of my hunts. Kuiu is a direct-to-consumer company, and they sell all their gear at the website, Kuiu.com. Go check them out. Phonescope.com, use the JScott21 promo code. That's going to save you 10%. Phonescope, that's the adapter that I use, able to adapt my iPhone to my binoculars and my spotting scope, take great video and pictures. And then Apex Ammunition. During the spring, Apex Ammunition is a sponsor. Go to Apex Munition. That's the home of the TSS, the Tungsten Super Shot TSS. So we're shooting 9 shots. So we're going down to Mexico. We'll shoot close to 100 Gould's turkeys with that 9 shot. You got a much denser pattern using tungsten and knocks them right off their feet. So go to apexmunition.com. Check it out. Guys, welcome to the J. Scott Outdoors podcast. I've got my friend Justin Erhart of Premium Hunts on the line. Justin, how you doing?
Good. How are you doing, Jay?
Good. I'm anxious to talk to you. We're closing in on a deadline here for New Mexico applications, and the draw or the applications are due on March 17th, here about a week away, and so I wanted to make sure I talk to you. I know there's people out there that are still waiting to do their application, so I wanted to touch base on your New Mexico operation. You operate in eastern Arizona as well as New Mexico. Talk about conditions over the last couple of weeks. Have they improved a little bit over, say, a month or 2 months ago as far as moisture conditions? What are you seeing out there?
Yeah, absolutely. The conditions have improved a little just because we did get hit with a few pretty decent snowstorms there, in the last few weeks. But, the conditions still aren't great. So we're hoping that it's going to be a decent year for horn growth.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that March can still be a month of moisture. So there's always, you always want to hold out hope that can happen. But certainly from everything I'm hearing, the few little storms that we have gotten in the last couple of weeks have sure helped. I don't think, we're still in a drought, but every little drop of moisture helps at this point, don't you think?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, like you said, every little bit help for sure, and I mean, we'll take every drop it'll give us.
Justin, you obviously do a lot in Arizona and in New Mexico as well, but one of the things in New Mexico, you really focus on the exotics. You really focus on, the animals that maybe people don't really think about New Mexico. Talk a little bit about the opportunities for exotics and kind of give the listeners kind of a rundown on your thoughts on, being able to pursue those animals.
New Mexico's got a lot of great opportunities. I mean, they've got some from free-range exotic animals. We've got the Oryx, the Ibex, the Barbary sheep. We hunt them all. Tags aren't the easiest to come by for some of them, but I mean, there's a lot of really good opportunities out there, all the way up in through February. So there's hunts going on for these species while there isn't for elk or deer or anything else.
Where do you see the state of, Barbary sheep? It's to me, it's one of those animals that seems like it's just gaining in popularity almost daily. What are your thoughts on the Barbary sheep opportunities there in New Mexico and some of the different areas, and which hunts do you like the best?
You know, that's 100% true. Every day it seems like they're just gaining and gaining in popularity. They've been really good. You know, they're a fun animal to hunt. The herd's doing well. We hunt a handful of different units. You know, we like all the hunts. There's hunts in October, there's hunts in December, January, February, and they're all good.
What kind of rams, you know, I'm sure it varies from unit to unit, but on the most part, what kind of rams can people expect to see?
You know, we're excuse me, we're trying to take, you know, rams that are, you know, in that 28 to and upper range. You know, we really try to shoot for 30 and up, but it's a lot harder in New Mexico than, say, West Texas. But you know, every year we're fortunate enough to take some rams into the 30s, and that's pretty good for New Mexico public land.
What do you see as far as, you know, you're a Coues deer nut and glassing? How does hunting the Barbary sheep, you know, kind of coincide with some of the similarities of glassing for Coues or similar country?
Oh, it's very, very similar. I mean, we hunt them the exact same way we would Coues. You know, we're sitting down behind the glass for long periods of time, moving around, changing angles. You know, it's really a fun hunt because you get to see a lot of animals usually. The country looks very similar to Coues deer country, but there's just no Coues deer in it. But it is, you know, it's definitely a fun hunt, especially for anybody who likes to glass and kind of see what they're going to go after. It's a fun hunt.
So, Justin, in New Mexico, there's non-resident opportunities and then non-resident opportunities in the outfitter pool, where your draw odds can be better when you apply with an outfitter. Talk a little bit about that when it comes to Barbary sheep, Ibex, and Oryx.
Well, there's you know, obviously your odds are going to increase for most everything if you're going to be applying into the outfitter draw, because you're going to be fighting for a higher number of tags. There's a lot of different hunts that will give you a lot different, you know, draw rates, but you know, there's plenty of good opportunities out there to be hunting, you know, somewhere throughout the season.
Back to the Barbary sheep, when you're glassing for them, are they nearly as hard to see as a Coues deer, or do they stick out a little bit more? Are they maybe more like kind of glassing for mule deer as far as body size and being able to spot them, or how do they rate?
Yeah, their body size is very comparable to a mule deer. They blend in extremely well with their habitat. You know, everybody's always amazed at how difficult they actually are to spot, because you'll be looking at one and all of a sudden there'll be another three that you didn't see, and then there'll be another two, and you know, they just pop out of nowhere. They're pretty amazing species, very tough animal.
What about the Ibex? You know, I've heard people say that the numbers are down, and it seems like you still seem to find some really good Ibex. How's that herd doing?
You know, they are down compared to what it used to be, just because, I mean, they've crushed them with the nanny hunts and everything. But you know, there's still a good population on the mountain, but it's you know, quality is definitely not what it ever used to be, and numbers are down, but there's still a decent amount there for sure. I mean, it's not like you're going to be struggling, you know, to find one animal or anything. There's a good population still.
And then moving on to the Oryx hunts, there's several areas where you can hunt the Oryx. Talk a little bit about those hunts as far as type of terrain and country, and I hear there's like a meeting that you got to go to, and then they open the gate and turn people loose. Talk about how, going with an outfitter that knows the area, how that can play into people's hands to make a more positive experience.
Yeah, so for the Oryx, there's on-range hunts, off-range hunts. There's the on-range hunts. They're going to be a lot better. You're going to see a lot more Oryx. You're going to have a lot better hunt, but they're usually 3-day hunts. So what they do is, you'll lose your first day or first half a day to a meeting there. They call it the orientation, where they go over all the do's and the don'ts of the missile range and, let you know if there's any area closures or anything like that. And then they just kind of kick you out and everybody gets to go. So you've got to check in and check out of the range at certain times every day. They've got a lot of very strict rules that you have to abide by while you're there. But, if you kind of know the program and have a good idea of the land on the missile range, I mean, you can make the best of it in a hurry.
How do those Oryx hunts go as far as, are you high pointing them, and glassing down into the flats, or how do they normally operate?
There's not a ton of high points anywhere. There's a few on certain areas of certain ranges, but if the topography allows it, then yeah, we like to get up high and look around. But for the most part, you're just kind of getting into little molehills, and you're looking in a lot of greasewood flats, and it's a lot of flat country, so they can be difficult to turn up at times, but you just got to stay positive, because once they're laying down in that flat stuff, you feel like there's nothing there. But obviously when they get up and start moving around, they're a lot easier to spot, and you can actually do something with them then.
How spooky are they, either to trucks or to, if they see people, how wily are they?
They can get pretty wily for sure. I mean, you have to wear those blaze orange suits and on the on-range hunts, and man, they I don't know if it's just the fact that you're walking around in blaze orange, or if they get keen after a while. But it's a lot different now than what it used to be. There was just so many of them that they weren't very spooky. But nowadays, if they see you, stop and get out of a truck, they're going to give you a tail swish and they're going to be gone.
What kind of horn length are we talking on those Oryx now?
We like to go after, for a bull, we really like to go for 36 and up. That's a great bull. This year we were fortunate enough to take a 41-inch cow, which was a great animal. So anything in that upper 30 range for, bull or cow is going to be a great animal.
Awesome. When it comes to deer in New Mexico, are there some areas where you can find some quality deer, both mule deer and Cruz?
Yeah, there are. I mean, deer hunting in New Mexico is just a tough game, because there's only a few areas that are, really on a consistent basis pumping out some trophy potential, and of course it's a really hard draw for a mule deer area like that. But yeah, there are some areas there that are going to be good for sure. I mean, it's a state with no bonus points, so you should be throwing your name in the hat for them at least. And as far as Coues deer, yeah, there's some great Coues deer. It's kind of always living in the shadows amongst Arizona and Mexico, but New Mexico presents a lot of pretty good opportunities for Coues deer as well.
What are some of your favorite units for Coues?
I really like the Unit 27. It's right on the border, but it can be a little disheartening at times because of all the illegal activity. That's a good one. And then I really like the 23 hunt. That's a good one as well. Those are probably my two favorite. 23 and 27.
One thing about New Mexico, a little bit different than Arizona, is you do have quite a bit of private property in some of those units that you have to navigate around. It's not quite as open as, let's say, some of southern Arizona, where you got a lot of public ground. It's not that there's not public ground in New Mexico, but you've got to kind of know how to navigate around some of the different properties, right?
No, absolutely. I mean, if you don't have something like Onyx while you're hunting in New Mexico, you're putting yourself in a world of risk, just because of, the fact that you might be getting onto somebody's private property or something like that. And it's definitely something you don't want to mess around with, because, a lot of guys take that very seriously.
When we look at the elk year coming up here in New Mexico, coming off, the year we had last year and, still in a drought, do you still think there's good opportunities for good bulls?
Yeah, I mean, I do, Jay, in a few areas. My recommendations this year have been a lot different than, say, my recommendations that I put out last year, just because some of these units, it's a lot like the units in Arizona, that once they see extreme drought and no groundwater in the unit, there's no feed. I mean, they can be very disheartening. I mean, we might see, the land of the 5-bys in a lot of these units again, and that's why I haven't recommended a lot of the units this year.
Do you think that, the most popular units, the 16As, the 16Ds, and some of those units, that there's other opportunities in units that are way lesser known units that, if you really know where to go? I mean, I think that's kind of been your bread and butter, is hunting some of those units that are a little bit off of people's radar, right?
Yeah, definitely. We usually stick to, a lot of those units that, seems to me, Jay, that a lot of the bigger bulls have been coming out of units that, are completely off everybody's radar. I can't remember the last time an ultra giant's been killed out of 16D. But, some of these other units that, usually don't hold very many elk at all, they're growing those bulls with the bigger age class, just because of the amount of hunting pressure is a lot less than, units like 16D and stuff. And that's, to me, where the bigger bulls have been coming out, are some of these little hidden gems.
Someone like yourself that has, horses and stock to get in some of these units, what do you think about like 16B, the wilderness unit, and getting, away from people and having good opportunities?
16B, it can be very good hunt. The bow hunt there, the second bow hunt's probably the best hunt in my opinion, just because, you're in that rut date, and that you've still got that, 10-day season. But a rifle hunt in 16B, it can be tough. For one, you've got a 5-day hunt, and when you're packed into the wilderness, if something happens and the elk get bumped or they moved on you, since you've been in there pre-scouting, you're going to waste a day at minimum moving country trying to relocate, with the elk, and a day is a lot on a 5-day season. I mean, it's 20% of your hunt. So I'm not a super big fan of the rifle hunts in B, just because of that factor right there.
With your Arizona operation and New Mexico, are there a lot of hunts that conflict, or is it actually pretty nice because the hunt structure dates don't bounce into each other too bad, and you're able to move back and forth between states living right there on the border?
Right. There's very few hunts that conflict. I mean, the archery hunts will definitely overlap on the second season in New Mexico and the archery season in Arizona, but that's pretty much about the only one that really conflicts for us. I mean, most of New Mexico's hunts are going to be that mid to late October and, mid-November. So New Mexico's late season is done before Arizona's is even kicking off. So there's not much conflict there, which is great for us because it allows us to hunt both states.
Lately in the news, there's been talk about some change to the non-resident quotas, talks about, different landowner tag stuff. I haven't really kept up with it. First question, have you kept up with it? And two, what's kind of the state of affairs right now and what got resolved, or where are we at now?
So the last I've heard about it is they were still trying to kind of get the first step in taking away the landowner's permit. And if they get that done, it's going to hurt us, dramatically it's going to hurt everybody, But as far as I know, that they did lay off of that. Well, they were trying to get rid of the outfitter draw as well. And to my understanding, that's been tossed out for now, so we're not really having to worry about that right now, but they are still kind of going after the landowner permit. So
there's a contingency out there that they want to totally get rid of all of the landowner tags and make it just a straight draw. Is that correct?
Correct. They're trying to do that, and they're trying to do away with the outfitter draw. They're talking about, instead of the 84-6-10 split that we currently have, they're talking about going to, a lot like Arizona with just a straight 90-10% split and with no landowner tags. And, if they did that, it's just going to cripple the draw odds even more.
Very interesting. I've got a couple questions about Arizona. With the latest little bit of moisture that you have gotten, say since you've got home from Mexico or while you were in Mexico since then, what you've been bouncing around out there in 27 and 1, what are things looking like out there, and what's your thoughts, moving into, obviously any day now, the results will come out for elk and antelope in Arizona. What are you thinking now since the last time we talked about it?
I still have high hopes for units like 1 and 27. Just because they're obviously in areas that catch a little more snow, and they have a lot of natural groundwater throughout the unit. Creeks, streams. There's some lakes. That's huge on a drought year. But units, further north and stuff, like Unit 2, just north of my town here, is probably going to be in a lot worse shape than, Units 1 and 27. But I suspect it's going to have a decent year. I don't expect a great year. I expect a decent year,
Yeah. Okay. And have you heard anything? I'm here in Florida, so I'm a little bit detached. Heard they had 18,000 more applications, and that's their excuse for taking so long for the draw. I assume maybe you haven't heard anything else, but do you know anything else as far as timing or why the draw is taking so long?
I don't know anything about timing. From what I've heard, the reason it's taking so long is because I'm sure most everybody's aware, but sometime in December they went through and changed everyone's portal account passwords, and they emailed them the new passwords to their email address on file for their portal account. So a lot of people that couldn't figure out that the Game of Fish had changed their password, they created another account. So now there's one person with 2 different accounts, and it let them go into the draw instead of trying to recover their original account. So now they're trying to merge these 2 duplicate accounts to make sure that person goes in with their said bonus points.
So in other words, if they couldn't get in, they created a new account, which then maybe bonus points for their existing species didn't roll over, so they go into the draw, and what a mess.
Yep, they're trying to find everybody's duplicate account to make sure that they go in with their bonus points. I mean, you would think.
So there's a chance the draw hasn't even. I mean, so the draw probably hasn't even happened because they're still trying to find all the duplicate accounts and make sure that they put everybody in accordingly with matching their bonus points. Correct?
To my understanding, that's what the big holdup is that, and it just blows me away. I mean, I don't know how most everybody else feels about it, but it's the worst process to me. I mean, it's so unorganized, and you look at other states like, New Mexico and Utah, who you can just go in and get applied and be done in no time flat. It just blows me away that Arizona's still this far behind the curve.
Yeah, and to do that, changing passwords that close to a draw cycle is just mind-boggling that would even be something that they would think of. But, well, buddy, it's always great having you on the podcast, talking about different things. And how's your leg doing? I know for those that don't know, last year sometime you had an accident and got busted up pretty good. How you doing?
It's doing a lot better. I've still got a little bit of a limp, but I'm hiking the hills almost at full capacity, so I'm very fortunate for that.
Yeah, good for you. Good for you. Well, let's see what. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, how was that turkey hunt down there?
It's pretty cool. I've always wanted to come down and hunt Osceola turkey down here in Florida, and ironically, we kind of scheduled a trip down, and I just was so busy with everything. It didn't really dawn on me. I don't really get to thinking about turkeys heavy until April and May when I'm doing my Gould's turkey hunts. And anyway, we scheduled a trip down here and basically showed up with Crocs and flip flops and no camo, no nothing, and then it realized that like the South Zone, the season I think opened the 5th or the 6th or something like that of March, and so once I got down here in mid-February, it kind of dawned on me that I was going to be right here. And anyway, my friend Casey Brooks has some properties down here that he leases, and he's like, "You're not hunting turkeys?" I said, "Well, I didn't even bring camo." And long story short, I ordered some stuff from Kuyu, and they drop shipped it and got it to me really quick. And I went out in tennis shoes. I actually had some tennis shoes I went out in and didn't have binos, didn't have turkey call, didn't have anything, but went out with Casey's guy. There's a guy named Dave Sikic down here, and went out with him and actually got the bird on the first afternoon. It was kind of rainy, crappy weather the first day or two, and so we went out, I think, on day 3 and afternoon. We were going to do an afternoon and then a morning hunt depending on how that afternoon went. And, we were able to slip up into an area where he thought some birds would be kind of loafing midday, and I mean, it was a 15-minute hunt, and he's like, "Sorry for the short hunt." I was like, "Man, I've been on a lot of turkey hunts and a lot of long turkey hunts, so I'm always grateful when you can get a quick one." So it was beautiful birds. Not quite as big as Gould's, but spectacular in their own way. Had real copper colored feathers are awesome, and then real black kind of band on their wings. A smaller bird, probably. I'll bet my bird was like a 17-pound bird, maybe 17 and a half would be my guess. I didn't weigh him, but yeah, had decent spurs and a good beard and a full fan. So I got to see 2 birds strutting and 6 or 7 hens milling around, and it worked out great. And also went out fishing twice. Ryan Nitz, a guy that I followed on Instagram, I hit him up when I was over in the Jupiter area, and we fished. I had a couple tarpon on, and ended up catching a Jack Cribali that he said is probably one of the bigger ones he'll see all season. It between a 35 and 40 pound would be my guess, Jack Crevalle. And then the next day I went shark fishing with my friend Andy Mill, and on the ocean side, on the Atlantic, and hooked in and caught, landed one, he said about a 90-pound spinner shark, and got to watch him jump out of the water. So it was an awesome fight, and they just, they tug and pull really hard. So it was sweet to go out with Andy. He's kind of a saltwater fishing legend here, especially with the tarpon and the stuff in the Keys. So it was fun to go out and spend some time with him. And so yeah, Florida's treated us well, and we'll head back here in about a week and get geared up for the Gould's turkey hunt. So I want to give you a chance. Go ahead. I wanted to give you a chance to tell people where they can hear more about your hunts, and if they want to apply and put in with you in the outfitter pool, tell them how they can do that, and I'll link it up in the show notes, and then I'll answer whatever you were about to say.
Yeah, guys, anything New Mexico, even if you just chat about the draw, whatever, feel free to give us a holler. You can reach me at 928-245-8722. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook. Just give us a holler anytime. You can shoot me an email at info@premiumhunts.com. So just reach out to us if you have any questions at all or want to get in on the 10% outfitter draw in New Mexico.
Awesome, buddy. Awesome. Well, hopefully the Arizona will get their program figured out, and that draw will come out. Anybody looking for Unit 127, give Justin a call. He's got a great group of guides, and they put down giants every year, and seems like every category, every species.
Well, I appreciate you having me on, Jay, and look forward to the next one.
All right, buddy. Take care. God bless.